This version of the budget keeps the Senate's initial plan to reduce the 3 state income tax brackets to 2.75% and 3.5%, but speeds it up. It also makes a big cut to the state's main business tax, and it extends the back-to-school sales tax holiday from 1 to 2 weeks in August. Republican Senator Matt Dolan, a candidate for U.S. Senate next year, chairs the Senate Finance Committee.
The Senate focus is going to be on returning money to taxpayers, and that means small businesses. That means all levels of income will benefit. We are having historic sales tax relief so that people, when they want to go out and buy school supplies, which we've done for the last few years, but now any material goods, that they will get tax relief when they go out and buy those provisions.
These tax changes are good news to conservative groups that have pushed for lower taxes, a flat tax, and the eventual elimination of the state income tax. At the end of this budget cycle, 90% of Ohio businesses will not pay the commercial activity tax, which the Department of Taxation calls the annual tax imposed on the privilege of doing business in Ohio. It was created in 2005 as the tangible personal property tax and corporate franchise taxes were ended. It was designed to even the playing field among manufacturing and other businesses because it's levied on gross receipts, not inventory or profits. The National Federation of Independent Business Ohio is especially pleased about the changes in the CAT.
I would point to first, pass-through entities are also businesses. They're not C corporations. So when the corporate franchise tax was eliminated, C corporations saw a significant benefit over pass-through entities. And so they pay through their personal income tax. It flows through. So I would argue that they do have two taxes, both the personal income tax and the commercial activity tax.
So they do get a break on the first $250,000.
Correct.
Yes.
And that was meant to normalize and help offset the elimination of corporate franchise tax. You know, the tax on the privilege of doing business, if you talk to some business owners, is a little bit frustrating, and we've seen that frustration grow over the 18 years that it's been there. And you're absolutely right. You could be bleeding in the red, have zero profits, in fact be well in the red, and still have liability to the state simply based upon gross receipts. So it's not a tax on profitability, it's a tax on receipts. And so sometimes you have those inequities where businesses are not profitable yet, but are still paying a substantial sum of money to the government.
In your statement on supporting the Senate budget, you write that Main Street businesses have had a hard time keeping up with rising costs and ongoing labor and supply chain issues, but governments have those same issues. And so how are they supposed to deal with rising costs and all this if their main business tax is no longer coming in?
Well, they will still have some business tax. I think what this CAT proposal did from the Senate, and we're very grateful for that, is help those smallest of enterprises. So those larger entities, not that they're not important to the economy, will still have a liability on the CAT end, but we're seeing small businesses who are really struggling to keep up with inflation. They don't have the leverage and the negotiating powers of their larger brethren. Again, no disrespect to them. This helps put more money back into their business so they can compete with paying more competitive wages, adding additional benefits, and staying afloat, candidly.
And so it's your contention that with this lower tax, there will be more economic activity, that there will be growth, even though in previous years there have been tax cuts, but not more growth.
Yeah, Karen, I would argue, and you heard some of that on the Senate floor today, that there has been revenue increases, and we've seen increased spending in the state budget. We've always held the position, our members hold the position, that they, the entrepreneurs, are better off spending that money than their government. They know how to grow jobs, they know how to stimulate the economy. You know, small businesses create 2 out of every 3 new jobs. So we've always had the position that who better to have that, the entrepreneur or the government?
There's another provision in the budget that would extend the sales tax holiday in August, the back-to-school sales tax holiday, from 1 week to 2 weeks. Is that really a big deal for businesses?
It is if you're in the retail industry, and we have a significant number of retailers in our membership. So yeah, this is going to get boots in the ground, people in their stores, and I think it's a win really for consumers. You know, sales tax, if you're purchasing large items for back to school, whether it's laptops or other electronics, clothing, things of that nature, that can be a substantial chunk of change for families who may struggle. If you have 3, 4, or 5 kids, that's a huge portion of your budget. And so this is putting more money back in their pockets and really empowering them. So I think it's a win for everyone.
Senate Finance Chair Matt Dolan said all levels of income will benefit from the Senate budget, especially with tax relief. From your perspective, is that the case? Because others will say it's not the case, that the wealthiest people are benefiting the most.
And the more you pay, the more you're going to benefit from a cut. But I think that at the end of the day, what the Senate proposal did, my understanding is nobody's going to see a tax increase from that. And we can argue about how much it may be to one individual, but at the end of the day, the rates are coming down, the brackets are collapsing, and so I think it's a benefit for all Ohioans.
And does that flattening of the income tax help your members?
It does. The bid is in place in Ohio, so that's a unique thing we have here in Ohio. It's made us extremely competitive. It's really helped our small businesses particularly weather through the past few rough economic years and continue to stay afloat. The changes here have certainly helped, but I think getting to that flat bracket certainly makes us less progressive and more competitive. It helps to not disincentivize, if you will, earning more money.